Hey, this is Barbie from Bell's Palsy Talk. Today we're going to be talking to Cheryl, who's the founder of Gain Grace, which helps you lead your life with confidence after facial paralysis, including, of course, Bell's palsy.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
I am fine, thank you, Barbie. How are you?
I'm fabulous, and I'm so excited for our talk today. Heather tripped over her dog's leash and sprained her ankle. That's exciting for you today, Heather.
Yeah, today of all days.
Cheryl is here joining us today, and she's the founder of Gain Grace, and she has a course that helps you gain your confidence back after facial paralysis and, of course, Bell's palsy. Yes. And thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody, yay, I'm so excited we got it sorted out. Cheryl and I have been talking. Oh, I know. Technology is the best and the worst all at the same time. Cheryl and I have been chatting kind of behind the scenes about a lot of things, and we're going to be letting you guys know something very exciting in a little bit. So Cheryl, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with facial paralysis first? You know, when you woke up on that fantastic day one, how did that look for you?
My goodness, I think in my case it was actually in the evening that I noticed this, but I'll tell you what, it was in my third trimester of pregnancy. And I think Cheryl, mentioned that she had when you had her on, mentioned that she, got Bell's palsy as well during pregnancy. So I did as well. And it was, I say that I got the trifecta, right? Because it was a period of extreme stress. I had a lot going on at the time. And then, of course, so my immunity was compromised. I got a cold. And then I was in the third trimester of pregnancy, right? So the three, the three top risk factors.
Yeah.
As far as medicine.
Yeah, you had it all.
To believe. Yeah, exactly. So I guess I had it coming, even though I didn't know at the time of the existence of Bell's palsy or, and other forms of facial paralysis. Maybe the Bell's palsy was, something just out of the blue, even though I come from a family of medical professionals, right? It's such a rare disease. That's 0.04% of the population that gets it each year, at least in the US. So we are a rare breed, you and I. And all
we're special, right? Everybody here.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think getting it in pregnancy adds another layer of complexity, right? And challenges. Okay. Because you're expecting your first child and you can't say the word baby. You can't say the word bib, even as you're shopping for bibs.
Yeah. Hey.
You can't say there's a lot, all the baby poo. You can't say that either. You basically can't say all the things, a bunch of the things that you should be able to.
Well, and all the things you're excited about.
And that you're excited about. And so it was extremely challenging. I had on the one hand, the excitement, about this new life I was welcoming into the world, and my husband and I, were welcoming into the world, and about whom we're still so excited. She's adorable, she's wonderful. But on the other hand, you're kind of measuring that blessing against now this challenge of having to face the world with a different face.
I can't even imagine the both of them together.
But everyone who who gets Bell's palsy or other forms of facial paralysis is in that position where you're suddenly having to face the world a different way, right? What you're accustomed to approaching the world with, the smile that, had opened doors for you, as it had in my case, even my choir director saying, oh, you should never stop singing. You have such a great smile. And you think, oh, a great compliment. Maybe the voice doesn't cut it, but at least I've got the smile.
Not really sure that's a compliment, but I'll take it. Better than nothing.
She kept me in the choir. We'll see. We'll just, just leave that. But
of course.
Yeah. But no, it's funny. But yeah, so that's basically the position you find yourself in, and it's really tough. Like I found it quite challenging. And as others on your show have said, Barbie, it's a very isolating experience, right? Because even your loved ones, even those, and sometimes especially those who love you the most, just want you to feel okay, and want you to be better. And and it's almost unfathomable for everyone to imagine what it's like not to be able to blink.
It's such an odd thing, yeah.
Right.
They can't identify with it, I guess, you know?
Right. These are things we take for granted, you know? And so, and then when you start to realize the degree to which you've taken some of those things for granted, how grateful you are just to be able to blink, how grateful you are to be able to drink.
Not even the smile part. Like, we haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah, I know, right? So you're just, it's a lot to go through. And yes, I got to a place where I realized that something had to change, right? Because it is possible to stay in that place. You know, you are in a sense in something of a wilderness. I mean, you are, you know, and that's part of the reason that with the course, the first module is actually about going from, so the first G in the sequence is about going from grief to gratitude. Because, and I say grief because, you know, you need to acknowledge that at least in this 3D reality, at least on this plane, in this physical experience that we can see, you've lost something, right? Yeah. We know that metaphysically, spiritually, and every other way, you are perfect and whole. But the fact is, in your human experience, you've lost something. So you first need to acknowledge that. And I think when I started to do that, I was then able to begin to move forward. But yeah.
Just the grief of, and actually that's funny because I'm going to be speaking next week to a lady who specializes in grief, and that, you know, and she specializes in, I think, losing a loved one, but it's the same thing because it feels like you're losing your old self because you've lost. I know, and I'm the same. Everybody, oh, you're so photogenic and you're so that, and loved being in photos, loved, you know, like, you know, with your friends, and you're having like, and it didn't matter my weight, didn't matter anything. That was never something that I was conscious about. And I enjoyed being in photos with my friends and my kids and my family. And then that just got to be something that was, you know, creates that insecurity. And I just wasn't used to that. So you've lost that sense of self, and it's hard to explain in words, but I don't think we do to this community. Everybody understands that. It's such a weird sense of loss.
It is weird. And honestly, I mean, I'm not even sure there's a single English word that can describe it. Quite frankly, the one word that I have found is actually a French one, right? And that's bouleversant, you know? So it's something, c'est complètement bouleversant. So it's like it's like you're bowled over, you know, something you have to use several English words to say. You're knocked over, you know, everything turned upside down. You're devastated because all of a sudden you're having to navigate the world with a self that even you are not yet comfortable with, right? And in a society, and not just in the part of the world that we are in, but to a large extent globally, that places a premium on appearance. We're obsessed with appearance. And so, you know, and all of a sudden yours has been taken away, your face, your smile, your ability even, you know, aside from smiling, to convey emotion and you know, thoughts and the rest of it, with your facial expression.
And that's just how we communicate so much. Like that Sarah Rule, who's an author, it was on a couple of weeks ago. I was just chatting with you about her, and that is a big part of her book, where she won this big award, and she's sitting in the audience there with her mom, who obviously knows her better than anyone else. And she's like, "Aren't you happy?" And she's like, "I can't smile. I can't." And what an odd thing to be able to not get that emotion out. And, you know, we talk about getting negative emotions out and talking about them, but what about positive ones too? You know, you can't.
It's tough. And I actually had a similar experience where I had just, you know, given birth to my daughter. I think it was the first day or something, and we're taking photos. Like I love photos so much. I said, you know what? we'll take them even with all of this going on. And then, you know, later on we can decide, and I can decide. But you know, there was one photo that I had taken and shared with family, and a relative of mine said, you know, when you have a baby, you're supposed to smile. And I said, I'm trying. I am smiling.
Yeah, that's
be happier,
right?
You know.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So
I was like that. I went out. I got the Bell's palsy in September, and then I went out with some girlfriends, and they had like a photographer there. You know, they have at some events back when we were allowed to have events. But yeah, and he did that. And he was like, "Smile. How come you're not smiling?" And I just was like, right, because that was kind of the first experience with that. And then I had to kind of relearn my smile, like the smile I do in photos or that. And I don't smile anymore with my teeth open. You know, I smile with my mouth closed, and try to learn how to smile with my eyes, and, you know, all that. And it's just tough. It's new. So Mara, thank you so much. She said, you both smile with your whole being. I love it. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, I try. Because our energy, you know, like you're saying, Cheryl, like our society and our culture is so focused on, you know, external beauty, but like inside, I think, you know, I talk about, you know, if we just pay attention to the people that we are attracted to be around, you know, people that you feel like, God, I don't know what it is about that person, you know, I just love being around her. That's the energy that I really try to convey in the world, because that's what we want, you know.
Exactly. And it's, you know, and so going back to the question of confidence, really, it's, you know, contrary to what the world has taught us, you know, it's really about trying to, let me put it this way. Okay, so going back to gratitude, what we have to be grateful about, and let's start from there and work towards the confidence bit. It's that, if, you know, when you get this condition, you have no choice but to dig deep, because you realize at a certain point that the only person who is going to rescue you is you. It's you. And it's not, and so even with my course, it's not Cheryl to the rescue. It's Cheryl facilitating you, rescuing you. Yeah. Right. And it's not, and you know, that may seem bewildering to some, because it's like you're in the midst of this most challenging, you know, a trial, right? It seems. But the fact is that you have within you a power far greater than you, right? Some call it God. I call that God. Some call it the source. Some call it the universe. Some call it, you know,
and whatever you call
power,
it,
however,
is, and that, you know, and beyond, well, beyond Bell's palsy would serves you in, you know, anywhere. And that's where your handle and your theme comes, that you were telling me about the other day, is building this confidence to get beyond it. So your whole being isn't focused. It's just a part of you, as opposed to your whole being. Right.
It's freeing yourself of the shackles of the perceived identity of, I am my Bell's palsy kind of thing, right? And the reason I talk about gratitude in relation to this is that the experience forces you to contact that, you know, something deeper within you, that power within you, which, even though it's always there, you may not otherwise, you know, connect with to the degree that an experience like this causes you to.
Almost like they say that if you become deaf, then your other senses come more empowered. So similar to what you're saying, like if you're a person that's focusing too much or more on outer beauty, maybe you're not noticing all the things that are inside. I love that. Yeah, that's so true.
Or as you so often say, maybe you haven't been using your voice, or whatever else it is that has been missing for you. Yeah. And so it's great to talk on Valentine's Day.
About self-love.
About self-love. And really, my invitation to everyone is to love yourself first. Right? Love yourself first. I mean, and the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Totally.
Or, you know, if you take or another one, love your neighbor as yourself. You are the reference point, right?
Yeah,
So
good point.
You need first to love yourself. And if you can't do that and show yourself grace, which some define as self-compassion, I think Andrea, you had such a great conversation with her about that. And I define it as self-compassion to a large extent as well. If you can't extend that to yourself as you're going through this, how can we trust you to do it with anyone else, right?
I like that trust too, because
you
know, like it's not just you, like you can think like, oh, it doesn't matter how I talk to myself, it's just me, but I'm very nice to everybody else,
right?
But that's not authentic then, is what you're saying. Like if you don't know how to do it, right? If you can't have that compassion and that grace for yourself, you can't really fully do it for someone else. Because and just as you said, Barbie, and the thing is, if another way of putting it is this, right? And this is why I like my little Gain Grace logo, because it's and slogan, right? It's face the world with confidence. But the image is a mirror, right? Because to face the world, you first have to face yourself. Right? And to and in a way, when you face yourself, you are facing the world, right? We're all connected. We're all connected. So if you can't look at that person, in the mirror with compassion, then how are you going to look at the rest of the world with deep compassion? Yes, I love that. And and Andrea was talking about the other day, and I know your course talks about how to do that. I mean, we like, that's great. We're watching this, you're like 100% totally in. Absolutely. So you're like, okay, now you understand the concept, and then what's the steps to get there, the little steps, because of course, Andrea described it as self-love being the penthouse, and that's where you want to be, and compassion being the elevator. And the girls are just talking here on the feed about letting people go. So people who don't value you or see you, or the other thing is the people who don't honor your journey, because I found that so many times too, and that's not a negative thing on them. If you're on a journey to self-discovery and learning self-compassion and learning about a higher power, and those people are either insulting you for it or making you feel guilty or not good enough, that's their mirror, and it's okay to say, I'm moving on. With love and move on, right?
That's key, what you just said, with love. You let them go with love, gracefully, right?
And you don't need to wish them ill or anything.
Or continue to ask yourself why it happened that way, why you don't see it your way. You let it go. You let it go gracefully, and just know that it has more to do with them than it does with you.
And you too, and you stepping up or whatever. And like you said, it doesn't really matter whether it's them or you or the cat. It doesn't really matter. Like, it's just, that is what it is, and know your next step. And that's the important part, to use your voice and do it. Because if you don't, you're gonna, the universe or God or whatever is gonna be teaching you some lessons. Oh
my goodness. Oh, and they'll keep coming.
Oh God, sure will. Isn't that the truth?
And it's all for our good,
I'm so excited to to learn more about your course and to connect more with you. And this has been a fantastic talk. Just building more on what we've been talking about this week, and about self-care and self-compassion, which I'm wanting this community to embrace more, because I think with Bell's Palsy, we're real advocates for that. Now, I'm really excited that some of the girls here are on here, because Cheryl and I have a little bit of an announcement to tell you. It's not a little bit of an announcement. It's a great announcement. And so Cheryl, I wanted you to tell our viewers here about the idea that you've been working on for quite a while, and we're going to launch it very soon.
Tell us about it. I am, oh my goodness, and I am beyond thrilled to have Barbie working with me on this, and I know we'll be pulling in others as well. But basically, this is something that was born of the frustration that so many of us feel when we first get this condition, or even if we've been dealing with it for a while, right? The dearth of information that there is, the lack of consistency in that information. So all kinds of conflicting information that we find online and in, in Facebook or other groups, and, even on Instagram at times, and even in doctors' offices. And the idea was to convene, bring together really all of us with the experts, from a range of fields, medicine, nutrition, acupuncture, physical therapy, facial retraining therapy, psychology, just, the experts kind of spanning, the spectrum of fields that are relevant to Bell's palsy, and experts who've actually spent some time actually studying this and specializing in this area. So it's the first annual Beyond Bell's Palsy Summit. Yes. And that's the idea behind it.
So, so Cheryl and I are going to be working together. I'm going to be helping her with her idea. So that's the Beyond Bell's Palsy first annual summit. So it's going to be virtual, obviously, to facilitate people all over the world to join together and learn different things. And we'll be having some people that you guys have seen on here. And Heather, Beyond Bell's Palsy, isn't that great? So that's the term for us to see beyond it. And we are so excited to bring you more ideas. And if you have any ideas, make sure you send them on to Cheryl or I. And we will be making a formal announcement during Facial Paralysis Week. So so exciting.
And it is. And I just wanted to mention as well that we do have the form up for anyone who wants to sign up to receive more information. Barbie and I will share that as well. And then I had mentioned too the quiz, which, for, recovery strategy. So it's basically figuring out your dominant Bell's palsy or facial paralysis recovery strategy. That also ties into the summit, although I had the quiz before, but it also allows us to understand a bit where you are and what you're looking for, as we plan the summit. And then it gives you some helpful tips and lets you know which of the profiles fits you. And so it'd be interesting to see where we all fall.
That would be great. I am going to take that quiz for sure. And for those of you who are watching now and those who are watching later, I'll post all that information in the bottom comments. Not quite right away. I have to post the Instagram live right away, but then I'll go in and add those resources in there. Like we said, we're going to have so Cheryl has a form up on her website already, and in there you'll get more information. And you can also put your suggestions. We're also going to be looking for information about whether the majority of people are like new to Bell's palsy or they've had it for a while. And then that way we can kind of tailor the presentations to that. And all the professionals will be vetted, and we will make sure that they're very qualified for that as well, because that's very important to us.
Absolutely. That's
something
what I'm very serious about. No hope doctors.
Exactly. Totally. Thank you so much. You guys have that. That is great. We have such great feedback, and don't worry, we'll be hitting you up for some help as well. Cheryl, you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be doing it again very soon.
I look forward to it. And thank you so much for having me and for having this space where we can all feel, at home, right? Talking about this thing that's such a big part of our lives.
Yes, thank you so much. That makes me so happy we're creating this community all together. So let's be in touch very soon. Thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you all.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
You too. You too to everybody. Bye.